or missing one?
They're not here to tell you.
Okay, so that's true. Okay, then so we're just gonna move on to the next session, having to talk inviting guests from Chiba Institute of Technology, Professor Kaz, and President of CONCENT and Sushi. And first of all, having Dirk Knemeyer a brilliant talk, we would like to ask for Sushi and Kaz actually, have a comment or maybe some kind of introductory speech about his or her activity. Then we can take on from there. So first of all, maybe Sushi, we start by yourself. Okay.
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Atsushi Hasegawa. I'm president of my company CONCENT, and we are owning this event space, and we are having the flower shop, and we are 200 people scale design firm and design related publishing company. And so my company CONCENT is founded in 1974, 40 years old. We are 40 years old. Originally, we were a graphic design company. So we started interior design things in 1970 as a first interior design company in Japan. So we introduced this typography concept for this kind of things into Japanese magazines and industry. And around 2000, we started with designing consulting program. And also we started not just web design, but with information architecture design and user experience design also. And in 2010, we started service design program for companies. So that is what, this is almost same as what you are talking. So our service design team's members were originally graphic designers. Okay. So they were graphic designers, and so they were trained design thinking methodology and general design. Yes, actually, originally they were general designer, but so they worked on graphic design. And I told them, so you forget about what you are doing. You remember what you were doing, what you have done in the university. And so now, so we have 50 people service design team, and so it works. So I really, I feel our company is doing what we were saying, and this is our company's brief history. And your story reminds me the limitation of human-centered design. So I explain. So because human-centered design is based on humans' demand or humans, so at first we do human observation, and we collect human demand, human tendency, or human behavior, and then we design to fit their requirements. So human is the first. But if, so that is, but so if the new technology is emerging, so people cannot imagine what will happen in the next, so that they cannot imagine the next need or the next demand. Of course, basic human values might be not so changing, but their demands or their needs will be, so they cannot imagine what they will be, what they will need. So that basic human-centered design process have the limitation, because so humans' imagination is limited. Yeah, that is what I'm thinking. And so now I'm thinking we are going on maybe users' expectation design. So maybe user can expect what will be happening next. Maybe in robot context or in maybe Taiwan context. Maybe all we can imagine what will happen in near future. So this is our imagination. So that we can design by not just humans' demand, but we can design by humans' expectation or imagination. That is what I am thinking. And we talk about the future design process. So you told from ideation to engineering. So maybe one person will conduct from ideation to engineering, and maybe some other people will do just testing. So actually, we are doing almost same process. So we call this process a CONCENT sprint, our design sprint process. It is almost 6 weeks short sprint design process, and we conduct from user research and user analysis and concept making and design prototyping and evaluating. We conduct all of them in 6 weeks.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure, of course.
Why 6 weeks? Why did you arrive at 6 weeks as being the right length for a sprint?
Okay. We conduct, this is very difficult and important question. So we separate these 6 weeks as 2 weeks term. And first 2 weeks we conduct observation and analysis. And next 2 weeks we conduct design or content planning. And the last week we make prototype and conduct evaluation, user testing.
Yeah.
So we can do in 3 weeks, maybe. But this is from my experience.
Yeah.
So it takes some time to analyze users' observation. We can do, actually, so observation is easier than analyzing. Analysis is more important, it takes more time. So that, we prepare 2 weeks. And in design phase, of course, it takes time. And it's actually no reason, so we just limit 2 weeks. And in prototyping and evaluation phase, of course, we need more time. But on this short-term project, prototyping and evaluation is needed, but to make a perfect product, to make perfect product is not our purpose. To evaluate our concept is our purpose. So that I think 2 weeks is enough for make prototype and evaluate it. So that we define 6 weeks is our minimal design sprint time. And key point is team building. We assign the maybe 3 to 5 people for one project, and all of them run from beginning to end. So I think the key part of to make the user experience is, so of course each person has each background. One is interface design, one background is interface design, one background is content planning, or each person has each background. But all of them run from the beginning to end, so together. So I think that is the most important factor for making a good design, because all of them can share the same context. So if we conduct human observation, we find some new aspect of human behavior or something. So maybe someone can find some insight. And on this project, on that side of project, so we can share the same wow, and same understanding and same wonder, and same wonder. We can share the same context. So I think that is a very important factor for this kind of project. This is what I'm imagining from your presentation.
Hello everybody. I came from Chiba Institute of Technology, and also I started my own business from last year, named Smile Experience Design Studio. And today I enjoyed very much your presentation, and one of the interests is education, because now I am belong to design development in university, but the next year we are planning to make a new department, more including artificial intelligence, engineering, and design. And so we try to make new kind of people, like design engineering guys. Okay, I don't know. But today your presentation is very close to our goal. And I'm very surprised, and I want to ask you how to make education for your goal of the new persons. So first I want to ask you your idea to making education program.
Yes, I think that's very difficult, especially for those of us who've already gone through our education and have our student loans, and restarting isn't such a good option. There are a lot of excellent online courses now. The best universities in the world offer often free online courses. I took a class on neuroscience at Harvard for nothing. So I think probably for those of us who have already gone through school and are practicing, that is the best opportunity, is looking globally for what is available online and making the most of that, sort of a informal self-education.
That's it. I want to know more. So you explained one of the ideas to get information from public, or getting information from different field. But ask you, today I'm very excited because I'm very lucky to meet with you today. I want to know, for example, if you professor of a new department, including design, artificial intelligence, design engineering. So how to make an application program?
Well, I think that you're far ahead of the curve. I mean, I was very surprised when we were chatting before we started up again, and you mentioned bringing together design and artificial intelligence. It may exist elsewhere, but I've never heard of it. So I think you are an exemplar of the type of changes and the type of thinking that will be necessary to evolve people forward. It will be more of those types of programs of looking beyond the typical disciplines and beyond the typical boundaries and synthesizing those things. I think it's fantastic that you're doing that, and it makes it very obvious why the team included all of us together because in different ways, both of you are already implementing and running your businesses and your training in models that I think are consistent with where the future is going.
So having talked from associate costs, I want to dig into 2 points from two comments that we've had. One is I think the user expectation. I think the one is user expectation design. So you mentioned the research, and the humans build machines or products. So that means that humans design for human beings, which means that the humans very deeply rooted expectations or like the demands or the need will be not being is being basic. I think that's the more concrete goal that every person has is to spend your life very easily at this moment, right? So likely the products that are being built, example on the cars or maybe other automobiles or technologies, to be allowing people to actually be more easier, including for disabled people as well. But that will make people very lazy, right? Which means I think that's not going to be very designed in terms of having to allow people to use or build or interact with those machines to actually having to lose the humanity of the human beings. That's one of the issues that I face by having to listen to user expectation design. That's one thing, and which means that I think the one thing that I want to go deep into is the purpose of technology. So I think that's one of the questions I would give you, and which means that problem solving. I think there's some dead ends to problem solving as well, which means that to actually allow people to face problems is to see, we need to observe the exact problems that are actually seen by looking at customers, but we need to go beyond that to actually form a problem so that people notice that needs to be solved from technology perspective. And the second point is about as Kaz mentioned, about the education. Thanks to actually the internet, so we see many online courses that even myself can go back into the student age to actually learn other very dedicated industries and areas of education. So I think the covering to Kaz's question is that what would be actually the need of being a school in university for allowing people from teenagers to learn in those kind of stages compared to myself, actually from a person who's already have been graduated from university. So that's one of the two questions that we could dig into within possible.
Sure. I'll start with the question of technology. I happen to not be particularly supportive of the capitalist model. I think that in our pursuit of convenience and in our pursuit of comfort, we are creating machines to do things that we ourselves should be doing. I don't think that this problem is as bad here in Japan as it is in the United States, but particularly if you look at the lower classes, the rate of things like obesity and diabetes are at epidemic levels. While giant machines that are spewing out chemicals into the air are digging the holes and doing the physical labor, that as the machines come and provide comfort and convenience for us, they allow us to nestle down into our less civilized and less evolved selves and become creatures that are not necessarily healthy or positive. So I think that technology, for technology's sake, has led us down many paths to the detriment of the human condition. And I think probably a lot of the ways we're moving into the future will continue that. I like to use Nicholas Copernicus as the example in my TEDx talks as the villain in 1546, or whenever he established the heliocentric theory. He set in motion the scientific revolution that, in my opinion, has led humanity to devolve in critical ways, to get away from the essentials of living a happy, healthy, balanced life. So I might be going too far afield, but I have real questions about technology for technology's sake.
I agree with human. I don't think technology makes people lazy. So because as Dirk said, so technology expand our capability, and if we have capability to make a cheap and expensive, we will go to explore, right? Stuff like and of course some of them will be lazy, but it's not depends on current technology. So lazy people are lazy, and I think technology expand our capability, and so in this era, in next era, I think the possibility of design is expanding also, and in general, design is defined as problem solving, of course, and now human-centered design concept is solving human problem. But now, so I think our general life is enough in general. But so there are many social problems. So now the design mission changing to solve social problem and propose new concept of technology usage maybe. So I think new technologies or technologies helps with new our society, and so that's, I don't think technologies make human lazy. This is my answer.
I think what humans or what I like about humans is they have they can evolve. They can adapt to the environment they're in, or atmosphere at this moment, right? So having to have this rise of technology, human will adapt themselves to actually live, having those kind of technology inside of life cycle. So I think that's one of the things that will make allow technology to actually rise, keep rising until people to see, adapt themselves. I think you'll see this crossover. I don't know when it happened, but where humans take over technology and where technology is going to take over humans. Outside where people try to adapt themselves instead of technology that adapts to humans. I think that's one of the crosspoints that I see in decades ago. I'm not sure when it happened, but I think that's one point that I see because people have the characteristics to actually adapt and evolve.
What do you think will be the trigger for that transition? Why do you believe it will happen? What will cause it to happen?
That's very difficult. I think the point is who decides that what's right to solve and what is the right problem to solve. I think that's the one critical issue, and it depends on who will answer that question. I think the key is a key factor, and I think that's the answer that I have at this moment. It's a very difficult answer Because what I always say is that looking at this kind of visionaries, including Steve Jobs, saying that all happened in 2020 and 2200, and it's very hard to predict that if that's right vision or if that's going to be right way to solve humans' critical issues or not. So the one who decides it's right or wrong is human being who lives in those eras and ages, right? And we won't even notice that as people will continue to evolve in many ways. So I think that's one of the, I'd say, gambling. It's one of the very hesitant ways to explain about technology during the design. And taking back about the school, I think about that. Yeah, to actually provide this kind of educational program in university. And what we think that it's going to be the benefit of the university to actually provide, or to make a school or to make it accessible to provide this kind of educational program instead of online courses for our students.
Yeah, I don't have a good answer for that because education, I can only speak to it in the United States. I don't know what the system is like here in Japan, but the educational system is terribly broken. It's broken at every level from when children are very young all the way through the university, and the confluence of just current internet software-based technologies is primed to really disrupt the hell out of it, but it hasn't happened yet, and I'm not an expert on education, and so I don't have a concrete prediction of what's going to happen, but I do think that education 10 years from now will look, in the United States, very different from education as it looks today.
How about training for current professional?
I don't know how it will manifest. I think my hopeful self, one of the things that I get very upset about is that in the United States, pretty much every student has to learn physics. And less than 10% of those students will ever benefit from physics. None of the students in the United States have to take a class to learn how to have healthy relationships with other people. So my optimistic self will say this whole thing will be blown up and we will have a sane, thoughtful, logical way of educating us to be positive actors in the world. My cynical self thinks it will never happen, and we're going to keep learning stupid stuff that doesn't benefit us while we beat our wives and have a divorce rate that's 60% and do these crazy things that are so bad for us. So I'm not going to have good answers on education because I'm terribly pessimistic, and I'm waiting for it to be disrupted and to see where we're going to go next.
We all had a conversation maybe in the past about design schools in Japan is very unique in terms of education compared to the design schools in overseas. So maybe Keith will give us some thoughts on that.
Design school? The meaning of design is changing. Maybe more than 10 years ago, so maybe 20 years ago, so design meaning just graphic design or industrial design, or it needs to build something. So it's a kind of, it's part. So each design, so there are many design areas, and each design area has a purpose to build something, I think. Of course, to build something such as graphics or products, so they were trained from what is seen or what is brand or from this kind of abstract concept to they train maybe drawing or practical skill. And now user experience or this kind of things, user experience service and user experience is not, so its purpose is not to build something, it's a kind of solution. So that I really worry about if there are university students in this area. I worry about so if they, I really, I want to say so today's user experience design students have to learn from concrete design skill to human-centered design process or this kind of process. So that these days the students, the things students have to learn is wrong. So this is so I'm teaching in some universities. One is all of them are at university, and I'm trying. I'm prototyping my curriculum, and this is I haven't had my final conclusion. So I'm still wondering what I should teach and what we should teach for students who are learning user experience or this kind of solution design students. This is what I'm concerned. This is my concern. But this changing of definition of design.
I think I would almost reframe it. I don't know that user experience is the right thing to be taught. I don't know that user experience is the right way to frame the things that should be taught. I believe user experience is a moment in time that will last a few decades, and then will be ancient history. And in 100 years, will be completely forgotten about it. I think it's a transitional thing. So I would, framing-wise, I might do something a little bit different. But skills-wise, I think it really depends on what it is you want them to be doing. In the end, what sort of designers designers might not be the precisely right word, but what sort of designers do you want to make? So I think it's a question that requires a lot more specific context to give a meaningful answer to. The one thing I will add on education that I was thinking about while I was listening to you both is, in America, there's the myth of choice and the myth of freedom. And what I mean by that is the school system is designed for all students to be treated the same as they're pushed up from kindergarten through the 12th grade, even though clearly some of them have no business taking vocational classes and some of them have no business taking physics. The model in Germany, and I'm not totally familiar with the whole German educational model, so I'm not endorsing that completely, but the model in Germany has a bifurcation where halfway through, they say, look, you're going to go in this direction, and you're going to learn about things where you're working with your hands. You're going to learn about things where you take your natural aptitude for making and doing, and you're going to go in that path. These people are going to go in the path where they're going to make things with their mind, and they're going to learn it that way. These people are going to go in a different path. And I hope that the future of education looks more like that, where the people who are coming out of high school and coming into college are more specifically prepared and properly aligned for the types of programs and courses that you're offering.
Thank you. And I have my thought is more like old designs, no context-based designs. And now more context-based design is more like a user experience. And maybe in your future is context should be more related, intelligent, I think. So I think from my experience for design is maybe 3 phases, and so now user experience more abstract design, but next step will be including more intelligent context of design, I think.
I think that's very smart. I agree.
What about the interesting topic of education in the United States? I'm not sure if every state is going to do that, but design. And in Japan as well, that's very traditional. Is that most people are treated the same way, and they learn the same area, both education knowledge, until not in both grades, same as the United States. Then they choose their own place to actually go visit university or college, actually to learn dedicated area of knowledge. But they won't notice until they go there, because it's very hard to beneficially explain what you needed at that moment until you notice that it's needed for yourself. Right? So I think that's my personal. It works in a different way. It's more to say that what's treated or taught is necessary for him or her, but maybe in terms of long-term perspective, maybe that's beneficial. Was beneficial for him or her, but it's pretty difficult to explain for students or people who are eager to learn to actually say that this is for you and this curriculum is very suitable for yourself. But I think that's pretty difficult in the matter of education. But so we'd like to maybe switch to the audience. If you have any questions or comments to maybe Dirk and also share with us. I'll just pass on the mic, but if you have any questions. Thoughts? Okay, I'm going to pass on my
Thank you for your great presentation and great talks today. I have a simple question about humanization, the term humanization. Sakata-san said humanity or humanization are some kind of topics, but I think in the relationship between human being and robotics, the term humanization is key point for future life. So, how about your opinion for humanization?
Is this working? Is this So I understand, so you're asking what humanization is or how I would define humanization?
Yes.
So we are animals like all of the other animals on the planet, and we are the most evolved of those animals. Yet we share with every single one of them some degree of basic biological motivations and needs and functions. And when I talk about humanization, it's getting to the things that make us the most evolved of the species, that our intellect and our potential for to realize the self, and our potential to cooperatively work with others to form a civilization that is coherent and to some degree safe and productive. So for me, humanization is tapping into the greater parts of humanity and those things that differentiate us from the other beings that we share the world with.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else?
I've got one question about, you guys mentioned about the purpose of technology and the purpose of user experience design. I am not a user experience specialist, but so please excuse me if I'm saying something wrong. But I'm doing project manager in a system integration company, and I'm quite interested in user experience. So my question is about what is the purpose of technology and what is the purpose of user experience design, and what is the relationship between that. So I came up with an idea listening to your conversation, and technology, purpose of technology is something like, making people free, give freedom to the human. And user experience design is something like kind of driving engine to make the technology, to allow technology to make humans free. What I'm thinking is just, when I'm working with an engineer builds a thing, but it's something like user-friendly. But user experience design is the kind of thing to make technology user-friendly. So I came up with an idea, so I'd like to hear your opinion about my question is what is the purpose of technology and the purpose of user experience and relationships, things like that.
I think so. There are no general purpose of technology and user experience. So of course, this is my answer. So there are no general extreme purpose of technology, human experience design. I think both of them are just a method to solve some problem or to actualize something. So that we can use user experience design and we can use technologies for our purpose or your purpose. So that's, I think, this is my private opinion. I don't want to limit the possibility of human experience design. So that's, I think there are no general purpose. This is my private opinion.
I think that's a very interesting take on it. When you asked the question, what I was thinking about is, or whenever I think about technology, frankly, I think about the beginnings of technology. So today when we talk about technology, we're talking about these hyper-complicated products and contexts. And when I'm trying to understand technology, I think about fire. So that is one of the first technologies where we managed to harness fire, and that allowed us to be warm, it allowed us to cook food, it allowed us to do this myriad of things that are, I don't want to say inherently good things, even though I'll regret saying that, but are inherently good things for the human condition. Now technology is something where we don't stop to ask why, we just keep doing the next thing. And I think the role user experience design plays in the context of technology is as a moderating force to, at a minimum, take what is made and make it more humane, more usable, but ideally, its best manifestations to harness technology and steer it away from being a destructive thing in some cases.
Yeah, I have almost same opinion with Senasa. Is goal of the project is the key, and technology is the goal of the project. And sometimes we don't need a user experience. Sometimes we don't need a technology. Very simple.
Thank you. The question reminds me of the machines and humans. I think we need those two aspects that never realize, because machines can serve but humans can't. Right? Technology itself has a very high quality specs, and they can do anything that automate human beings, how to say, life cycles and data works. But it should be served to the humans first in order to understand that the technology, what the technology is for them, or the benefits that how beneficial it's to them. I think those two human, user experience and technology is in the same purpose. We need to actually accelerate and to make it convenient in certain ways. I think the most from my perspective, I think those have shared common goals and purposes, but different approach or thoughts against them. Okay, so anyone have questions? Yes, pass on one second.
It's about crowdsourcing and user experience. So, what do you think? Because we create things to make users happy and satisfy them for their needs. But if the user creates himself something that he needs, maybe it would be the solution. So now, at this time, for example, Google, on Google Research, they they are just observing the users to customize the service for each person. But maybe, so what do you think, in fact, about the future of crowdsourcing?
The future of what?
Crowdsourcing? Crowdsourcing.
Yeah, the crowdsourcing is it's already a big deal, and it's going to increasingly be. I mean, there's an area that isn't getting enough press is citizen science. I don't know how familiar you all are with that, but the notion of citizens as, even in many cases, just passive actors in the context of gathering data and contributing to a heightened understanding of the world and of humanity. So I think crowdsourcing in general will continue to be important and accelerate, but I think particularly in more passive ways that we don't think about a lot now will become really integral to defining the neural networks and the hybridization of machines and people in the future. Does that address your question?
Yeah, I think it's very important to make people, to allow people to create things together. It's more powerful.
Yeah.
I'm thinking also network science is also very important for user experience design, because we user experience designer build something for users, and for example, maybe we will make some network content or network society or user-generated content or something, but right now, so we don't have clear theory for this kind of user-generated content or social network mechanism, so that we cannot control this kind of media or content, but I think we as he said, so artificial intelligence and social network science might be key. We user experience designers have to know much about these topics or use these things for our design, I think.
Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Any other questions or comments? Or we'll wrap up?
My question is, what is a good user experience? I'm always wondering when I design something, maybe to make good to make profits for my company can be good user experience, or user friendly can be good one. But I think it's not always good effective for user experience. I think personally, I think if it seems bad, but it can be effective for human. So I'd like to ask you, what is the good user experience for you?
I think a good user experience is the one that best addresses the goals of the creative team. Whatever the strategy and the goals are, whatever meets it best is a good user experience, even though that may run contrary to what is humane and good in some objective sense. The fact is we're creating these user experiences within the context of companies and projects, and what makes it good is ultimately, to me, how well it satisfies those goals.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, and so that's why the definition of goal is very important. So that is why these days designer is not just producing something. Designers have to belong to business units. So because designers have to define the user experience goal.
So I think there are no good experience, good user experience. Only the goal of the user experience. So what is the goal of the user experience for the target user? And try to design to make a target of user experience for target users.
Thank you.
So before we wrap up, I think we just had spent some hours talking about the design and technology and user experience and what it means by having those merged together to build a better product or services. And my thoughts that I had is one good thing about design or user experience is that we don't have concrete same answers to it. And I think sometimes having definition of certain vocabulary is good, but sometimes it's good to have no definition or exact definitions, which means that it depends on every person's aspects and perspective or field you're in. I think that's why it keeps living, even though it's been like decades after the word user experience had popping up from somewhere else. And so that's why we keep doing this kind of dialogue and meetups to actually talk more about design and user experience, to actually try to find out the exact definitions at certain ages and experiences. So I think that's one of the things to have to hold this meetup as well, including you. And so before we go to the party, I want for you to have to give your final message to people who's here, since you just left out people of the user experience, no hope, saying that you don't have no careers. And I want to have some kind of hopeful message that people try to become more confident of their business and jobs. And one other thing is that since you're in Japan, I heard that this is your first time being in Japan.
Yes.
And so that I would like to have either comments to the people or within your impressions of Japan and technology that you see from outside world of Japan into Japan. How would I like to predict Japan will be in the future from your perspective?
Yeah. Thank you. So to the first question, I definitely am not intending to give a message of doom and gloom, but I am intending to make you take notice. I am intending to get your attention and to give you a head start on looking ahead and thinking ahead to the world that we're going to move into. The fact that you're all here in this room and engaged in this profession already qualifies you as someone who is curious, engaged with the community, and at the upper end of the people who participate in our field. So you are well positioned to evolve and succeed in the future. However, to do that, you need to be able to see farther into the future, which I'm humbly attempting to participate in, and then think ahead and prepare to how you see you can best participate in it and change with it. And again, the very fact that you're in this room, to me, makes it very likely that you will change and evolve and adapt and succeed in one of the many paths that I suggested, or in other paths that I haven't realized yet. And maybe you'll be the very person to discover and originate and create. So definitely don't feel negative, feel very positive. Because the beauty of it is that the potential, the impact of the work that we do is going up and up and up in importance. In a decade, we've gone from websites to cyborgs. That's a really big deal. So you can be part of that, and you can be leading that, and that's to me, that's pretty cool stuff. In terms of technology in Japan, I've been here less than 24 hours, so I want to add the grain of salt into it. But I've been traveling, and I've come to Japan only after being in Las Vegas, then Hong Kong, then Shenzhen, then Guilin, then Beijing, then Pyongyang, and now to Tokyo. So I've had the opportunity to see technology in many different cultures. I've, again, only had a sliver here in Tokyo, but what impressed me in the context of the things that I had been seeing recently was, first of all, getting on the train from the airport, from Narita, at 11 p.m., and the train is full is too strong, but there are a lot of people in the train, all upper middle class, upper class, who all have phones in their hand and are lost in their phones in their hand, totally lost. Now, I will say, as I took the subway today to get here, this experience was very different. It was more of a socioeconomic blend, and the phones weren't quite as prevalent. So I don't know. I don't know how to evaluate Japan in any global way based on these two small data set samples, but it was certainly very different from riding the subway in Pyongyang, where a very crowded subway car, other than the people who I was with, no one of affluence, and maybe, 4 people playing with their phone out of 40 or more, really night and day contextual difference from those two extremes, I would say, for cultures here in Asia.
Actually, the point you gave, the latter half, I think that's a very technical issue that we had in Japan, where people is getting lost in cell phones, spending most of their hours in spending mobile. And so, as part of the design user experience, I think that's the challenge, to see that how we're actually designing the great user experience for him or her, by looking at people who's getting lost in cell phones. So yeah, so taking that decision. So we're just going to move on to after party afterwards, and please make this opportunity to chance to ask Dirk. If you have any questions that you haven't asked, or maybe comments, or getting connected with, since Dirk is traveling across the world, so I think you'll get some insights to it. So just kind of wrap up this place by having please give warm applause to Dirk and Kaz and Tushia as well. Thank you. I need your favor. Since we're gonna use the same place as the after party, I would like you to ask to move your stuff to your side and chairs so that we can lay out the table in the center. Mario. Thank you. Mario.
Please hear that